Hello, everyone. A lot of people have been asking me for an update on totu, and where do I even begin? If you've been watching my channel, you have probably heard about the creator who has spent the last 2 weeks slandering me and doxing me, defaming me. I believe personally it was a tactic to take the pressure off the shelter and to take away from totu, because no one's even talking about totu anymore. They're just talking about the drama. She thanked Queen Bashi in many posts. Now she tags her on all her posts, reposts her videos. Bashi will like comments like this, but I don't want to make this video about Bashi because she's completely taken up too much of my time already. Let's talk about totu. So has she been rescued? No. But they finally did an interview. Knoll went on camera and answered some questions about totu along with the original accuser, Kamala Agazada, the human rights activist, and the same woman who said she was blackmailed, threatened, and slandered for speaking about totu. So, and it was weird because they decided to do this interview at the same time all these totu accounts get banned, and the same time Bashi comes along to switch the narrative and ends up defending Knoll's reputation and saying the kids were never abused. Now, in this interview, the hard questions were finally asked. So they asked Knoll, why are there so many videos of totu being forced to eat slices of lemon? Like, since she was a little baby, the peel and all, she just eats it whole. And I have a video where it shows the difference of her as a baby eating lemon versus when she looks traumatized. And she says their doctor's orders are to give totu a lemon a day. She is forced to eat a lemon a day to curb her diabetes sugar cravings. Now, this is the first anyone has ever heard totu has diabetes. And if you haven't noticed, they are constantly giving her candy and sweets. She claims that it was the doctor's order to train totu to open her mouth like that because of her breathing problems, which is also a new medical condition no one has heard before. Videos where she robotically opens her mouth like she's being groomed to. They admit to training her to do that, but to breathe. So originally it was epilepsy for a long time. That's what they were saying her condition was, and that's why they were saying her hair was falling out from her epilepsy medication. However, when Knoll messaged me personally, she told me she had autism, myopathy, encephalopathy, born with one leg shorter than the other, spinal issues. But interestingly enough, when this creator, Bashi, who came on to TikTok to fix the narrative, at first she acted like she was like on our side and was trying to help the children, and she read these medical records from totu's doctors that stated no epilepsy detected, no health problems detected at all, and they asked to keep her overnight to monitor her, to do some tests, and they refused. But personally, I think it's Munchausen by proxy, because Knoll makes all the kids look really sick to get money and donations for herself to live her lavish lifestyle, which the no epilepsy thing made it even more suspicious when Bashi suddenly retracted that claim and said, oh, well, it can be detected later, and actually it's not your business. I can't share her medical records. I changed my mind. And ended up turning everything around and is saying Knoll is our victim now, and she has been falsely accused by us.
She did not abuse these children, and she's not a bad person. She's your guys' victim.
Acts like we cut and edited her videos out of context when the entire world can see those children are abused in those videos. She said we switched the before and after photos, so I proved with dates that the longer they're there at the shelter, the worse they get. That was ignored, of course. And it's funny, so there were these two creators that came out of nowhere to clear up the misinformation, and they both originally acted like they were on our side and they were against the shelter, and they had actually posted shelter like videos calling out the shelter, and then both of them switched up and said it was all false accusations and were bullies and we made this all up. But it's funny, every time I ask them, well, what about the criminal investigation? There's an ongoing case for child torture. That doesn't happen from just a rumor. The shelter was shut down for 8 months from the prosecutor's office investigation, finding evidence of torture, finding burns all over the children's legs and faces, like cigarette burns, burns on their hair, burns on their scalps, cuts, bruises, evidence of beatings, holding them hostage in the shower, starving them. One girl says she was actually sexually assaulted by the shelter owner's husband or boyfriend, and locked in a shower for days and wasn't allowed to see her mother while she was there. These children were taken on a TV show and exploited for donations, are still being exploited on the internet. And I guess they see nothing wrong with this now. I feel like they were, and I saw another person's comments, a Turkish influencer, saying, Kanol also tried to get me to cancel that American creator talking about totu. She can obviously just pay them off. I mean, they have contradicted themselves so many times. Their stories don't make any sense. And they're bullies, and they threaten me, dox me, harass me. Someone showed up to my house last night and broke into my car, and she turns it all around on me and says I doxed her because I said she lives in Miami, even though it's on her public profile, when she actually knowingly left my address up for 2 weeks, along with saying I was a kidnapper, I was a thief, I was yada yada yada, inciting hatred and violence against me, threatening to call CPS on me because I'm schizophrenic, apparently, to her for coming up with all this stuff. Absolute bully. She has no regard for Totu or the children. She just says, yep, they're fine, even though she's never met them. And every single video on her page is about me, not about the kids. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious to me. This creator who said I wasn't credible and was making everything up shared the exact same story I had already been sharing for weeks, but she did have access to court documents, which she translated, so that was helpful, and it shows that there is an open case for torture for the shelter for the original case. There was an investigation about Totu, but it's closed, but the torture investigation is open. But she's also stated that she knows it's going to be dismissed, therefore it's over. But that's just her opinion. She has no authority over that. Last I read is court proceedings are beginning, and there is a lot of evidence of abuse. There's live interviews of girls speaking about witnessing abuse and abuse they endured. And now this creator is saying, oh, well, they lied. So she debunked it herself, I guess. Also, Bashi stated very clearly, there are no other children at the shelter because there is this lawsuit going on. There are no kids there except Totu and the shelter owner's daughter. A few days later, she retracted that statement and said, oh, actually, all the kids and their moms decided to go back to the shelter because they loved it so much. The only reason you would retract your statement would be if Kanol said, hey, you can actually tell people that there's not kids in my shelter because then I can't keep using old videos to beg for donations. So, I mean, they're working together. And she's admitted it. They at least communicate. So the shelter's page is still pimping out these old, scary, horrific, disturbing videos of Totu that we've all seen over and over again, which just, again, points to Munchausen, because if you supposedly are so upset about all these videos made about you, why would you continue to feed into it? It's like the Britney Spears thing, like, she continues to, like, play up the conspiracies on her profile, or her team does, because it gets some clicks and views. Like she'll post the traumatized orphan video over and over again. The billboard with the sausage on it. Like, she wants people talking about this, but wants Bashi to control the narrative. Bashi also claimed that she forbid Knoll to show Totu's face in videos ever again. And I don't know why Knoll would listen to a random influencer who lives in Miami. But then Knoll only followed that for one day, and then the next day she was posting her again because she cannot live without the attention. Oh, and also the day after she stopped showing her face, they got this cute, brand new little puppy because she has to get attention from the internet for something. It's just another prop. It's just another thing to exploit. She also made a brand new page for her daughter to start pimping out content of her again because Toad was probably locked in the dungeon, ignored, until she gave that up and brought her back out again. This woman just cannot survive without attention and donations. The mother is still like nowhere to be found, still not seen in videos or anything. I really don't think she lives there at all. And like that post said by the landlord, she was like, no, she lives in my house. She rents a room from me with her young boyfriend. She doesn't live with the shelter. And Knoll uses the totu donations to pay for her rent. So this whole thing has been insane. My platform that I've been building for years has been taken from me for talking about this. My life has been threatened. People have doxed me, threatened me, called me, showed up at my house. If I was doing this for clout, I would have stopped by now, I think. I truly believe that child needs help and is being exploited, and something is tugging at me just to not ignore this and not let it go. All I keep thinking is anybody who wasn't hiding something and wasn't afraid of being exposed wouldn't be going to this length to terrorize me and my family. They have a lot to lose by being exposed by me, and that's why they have had multiple people do everything they can to dig up dirt on me and discredit me and use my own trauma against me. They put my address in the comments, and I have a toddler, and I asked you to remove the comment of my address for 10 days. It's disgusting, but that's what these billion-dollar trafficking rings have the power to do. I mean, that's my opinion. You think whatever you want. Maybe you just think there's abuse. Maybe you just think there's exploitation. I respect your opinion. I think they're very powerful and connected, and something nefarious is going on, and it's probably worse than what's shown on camera. If that's what's on camera, what's going on behind the scenes? But the look in those children's eyes says it all. If you're a victim of abuse like I am, you know. And that people can't see that is bewildering to me. Especially with the before and afters. Like, Totu as a baby to where she was a couple months ago is so horrific. That should never happen, no matter what medical condition you have. Especially since the ones that they claim she has are treatable and she has free health care. I just think they're really powerful people, and that sucks. It happens a lot. It happened to people who abused me too. When I share videos of my trauma and there's pictures of me happy and smiling, people always say, there's no way you were abused, you look happy. It's not that simple. Children are innocent, loving, forgiving, beautiful souls, and all they know is kindness and love, and they have an instinctual need to bond to their caregiver no matter how bad they are, and they don't know that they're bad. They are dependent on them for survival. Just think about Gabriel Fernandez. Everyone could see he was being abused, clear as day, and people wanted to protect their own feelings and ignore him and let him suffer until he died. And he smiled and loved his mom until the day he died. Smiling and happiness and clean clothes doesn't equal no abuse. There's psychological torture, there's starvation, malnutrition, all kinds.